And we're trusted by 1,500 organizations globally to power their customer onboarding journeys. So we help fintechs onboard users at scale safely and securely, and these are some of our customers. We have 3 layers of identity verification. So we do document verification and then either a facial verification using a selfie or a liveness video. So we use a hybrid approach, so it's not just machines, although we do know that some of the machines are 15% better than humans at recognizing certain facial similarities. We also use expert human reviews in our BPO centers in India, so it's a combination of machines and the best of human intelligence. What we want to do in the future, though, is think about a world where identity can be reused multiple times across many businesses. So at the moment, identity is messy and it's siloed. So you're kind of leaking identity data all over the web. And we think identity needs to be more like this, so person-centered, and the person can then share various different identity attributes with different businesses. So the government set up the Fintech Delivery Panel, which is a bunch of leading fintechs, the 5 largest banks in the UK and the 2 largest insurers, and convened them every quarter with the Treasury and the FCA to opine on what interventions are needed to ensure the UK's leading status in fintech. So that's what birthed this pilot with the FCA. So as you guys know, the FCA is the Financial Conduct Authority, the UK regulator. And they have a sandbox, which is basically a way to test innovation within the regulatory perimeter under the auspices of and the careful supervision of the FCA. So we want to test portable identity. This was something that came out from the Fintech Delivery Panel as one of the key and most critical infrastructure projects that could be done to ensure the future of UK fintech. The reason that it's so important is it plays straight into growth and onboarding of customers. So by making customer acquisition better through reusable identity, we can turbocharge growth. And I'm going to talk about that a little bit more in a minute. But what do we mean by portable identity? We kind of made it up. It's basically reusable identity. An identity that has previously been verified can be reused across multiple financial services and other organizations. So it implies 3 things. Firstly, that it should be decentralized. That means customer controlled, including the level of data sharing. Secondly, that it can be reused for accessing services. And thirdly, the implication is that it should be able to be accepted by any business in the mature ecosystem. Firstly, we want to determine whether customers will actually use portable identity in this way that we envisaged and in which context. And secondly, want to really understand with the regulator what the liability concerns are. So as you know, at the moment, there's a lot of anti-money laundering regulation, and taking reliance on a previously verified identity is quite difficult for fintechs and financial services players at the moment. We needed 3 actors. So we need tech providers who can facilitate the sharing of aspects of verified identity. We need relying parties. They're called relying parties because they take reliance on the identity, and that's a bunch of fintechs or banks, and they can reuse the identity to onboard their consumers as part of their KYC journey. And then we need some customers to go through the journey with us and to test it. So if we just step through it, the first step then is they've verified their identity using the Onfido app. Onfido has generated a credential, so Onfido is playing the role of the credential issuer in this pilot. And that's stored on the customer's device in their app. They've chosen then to share parts of that identity with the first fintech in the pilot as part of their onboarding process. And then they can choose to share it with the second fintech as part of the reuse case. So as you can see, the customer's really at the center of all of this. We've got the customer creating the verified credential, that the customer has control over that credential, and the customer then can share that credential or permission that credential in a really controlled way. The role of the blockchain here is to store the cryptographic information in a tamper-proof way. Obviously, we're not sharing or storing any of the personally identifiable information on the blockchain because that would be counter to GDPR and it would be stuck there forever due to the immutable nature of the blockchain. And then when the customer is then choosing to share those credentials, the credentials are being shared in a peer-to-peer way with the cryptographic signature that assures you that it was you that sent the credentials and also that it was Onfido who provided those credentials. So that kind of validating of the authenticity of the credential is all done based on the information stored on the blockchain. And the wallet really is just a very simple app. Now, obviously, Uport and Evernym and Onfido are not known as strong customer-facing brands at the moment. You can envisage a world in a mature ecosystem when that app would be very much a brand that was very customer-facing. In terms of what we think the conditions for the success of this pilot are, it really boils down to, in my mind anyway, convenience. So we hear a lot of talk in the identity world around customers lusting after control. And I'm not sure that customers necessarily want control. I think they want convenience. They want to be able to do stuff in an easier and simpler way online. It has to be fast and it has to be secure. So convenience here has to be as important as security and privacy. And those things need to be weighed equally. And then scalability and availability. This is the emerging policy narrative, and I'd love you guys to challenge this and kick the tires on it. This is what we would be selling into number 10 at the moment. That identity is a key enabler of the financial services and tech ecosystems, which are so strong in UK PLC. The reason it's this key enabler is it allows onboarding at scale, and therefore it can strengthen those ecosystems. So it can really charge and promote company growth. And through that comes a flow of capitals, comes more jobs, comes enhanced tax receipts, and reduced KYC costs, whilst obviously enhancing privacy and security that we've talked about already, and through devolving control to the customers. And then crucially, it's improving access and inclusion. So we hear a lot about, I think there's a session later this afternoon about the unbanked, but if you can make it more convenient and you're actually promoting access and inclusion, then customers in the UK are hopefully getting access to financial products and services that better meet their needs. Better access then enhances greater competition, and the regulator in the UK has got a competitive mandate, and obviously reduces identity fraud and theft. And we think this could be a really key reason for fintechs to continue to headquarter in the UK after Brexit, so can offer some protection against Brexit headwinds. So that's very much the MVP in the pilot. If you fast forward to kind of a few years' time, when hopefully this is the future, it needs to be one-click convenient. There has to be a lot of security, so we think there's a big role for machine learning there. And it has to be scalable. So we envisage a world where you would use and reuse your identity on a daily basis across all services and all businesses. There's a bunch of different use cases, and they're growing. And so that's why we're really excited at Onfido. We see identity as the key to access.